Okay, this is grade 8, 8C. This is your warm-up for algebra, the chapter, what chapter is this? This is chapter 10 in your book. This is our grade 7 review of one-step algebraic equations. The equations you see here, there are 4 equations. Each is demonstrated as both modeled and numerically. These would be questions you would have seen in grade 7, and they are just one step. All 4 questions just have a constant in the equation. So all we have to do is apply opposite operation to the constant to get rid of it to solve for the value of x. So in the first question, we have x minus 1 equals 2. Now if I use opposite operation, I know that I'm supposed to add 1 to both sides to create that zero pair. And by adding 1, in algebra, as long as whatever you do to one side of the equation, if you do the same thing to the other side, you maintain equality. So by creating that zero pair, I have isolated the variable, x is by itself. And on the other side, I have the sum of 2 and 1, which is 3. So the answer to x is 3. And if I go back to my original equation, which was this, and I substitute x for 3, I should have both sides being equal, and they are. So the only value of x in this equation that works is 3. If I go to the modeled, I have the exact same equation right here. I have x minus 1 equals 2, and it's balanced. Both sides are the same weight. So this is intended to show you that whatever you do to one side of the equation, if you do it to the other side, it will maintain balance. So in this case, I'm going to add 1 to this side of the equation. And what it's meant to show you that is if I didn't add 1 to the right side, this scale would switch to the left-hand side would be heavier or more than the right, and we can't have that. So in order to maintain equality, I have to do the same thing over here. That creates a zero pair. X is isolated, and x is equal to positive 3, which is the same answer I had over here. Okay? Question 2. What's different about question 2 than question 1? Evan. But what's different than the first question? So what's different about the second question here than the first question? I have my constant first. Right here, I have my constant before my variable. And normally I have my constant after the variable, but it's meant to show you that it doesn't have to be that way. So in the modeling, I'm going to put negative 2 on this side, and I'm going to put negative 2 on that side. That's going to keep it equal, but it's going to create zero pairs here. I have x left on the left, and over here, I'd have negative 3. So x is equal to negative 3. Over here, I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides, creating that zero pair. X is equal to the sum of negative 1 and negative 2, which is negative 3. Same answer. In the third question, what's different about it than the other two? Okay, my variable is not on the left-hand side. My variable is on the right-hand side. And it doesn't matter which side it's on. I'm still going to isolate it. So in the modeling, I'm going to put 3 negatives here because I want to create zero pairs here. And I'm going to put 3 negatives over here. When I do so, I'm left with x by itself on this side and just 2 negatives left over here because this one created a zero pair. And therefore, negative 2 equals x, or x equals negative 2. I could say it either way. The value of x is negative 2. On the other side, I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides to create a zero pair. X is going to be equal to the sum of 1 and negative 3, which is negative 2. And in the last question, the last two questions are basically the same. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get rid of my constant by adding 3 to this side. That leaves me with just x. But if I added 3 to that side, I'm going to have to add 3 to this side. And what I end up with is this model. X has no weight, or x has a value of nothing, right? X is 0, right? X is equal to 0. And if I do it over here, I'm going to add 3 to both sides to get rid of my constant. X is equal to 0. Same answer. Okay? Any questions with those? So those are your basic questions. Those are just one-step algebraic equations with just a constant. And when you do so, applying the opposite operation is as easy as adding or subtracting whatever the constant is from both sides.